So what we have here is a very old trap set that I built out of parts that I had sitting around or had acquired. The bass drum is a Whaley and Royce that is pre-1900. It's a rope tension, old, probably military drum. It has a stamp on the inside from when it was repaired sometime in 1899. The snare drum is an Excelsior, probably made around 1900. They started, I think, in 1892. One of those in-between rope tension and screw tension, so it's I guess it's called a truss system. The tom-tom is a very early 1900s Chinese tom that was probably imported by Ludwig. As well were the temple blocks, although the stand is probably a little bit newer than the temple blocks themselves. Bring you around to see everything there. So it was actually a concert bass drum band that I actually covered over what it had said. I think it was the Teeswater concert band, but I covered over that with the painting. And it was cracked underneath the dancers, big hole in it. So I contact cemented a piece of hide underneath it. This was like 30 years ago, and it's actually still held, so it's worked quite well. Got the old adjustable clip-on bass drum legs. You can see we have some cowbells and some wood blocks, as well as the temple blocks. The fastening hardware is period correct too. The cymbal, I'm not sure if it's something that was made in the 60s that has just gotten trashed so bad that it looks like a really antique cymbal, or whether it's the real deal. I can't tell you. I know that these hi-hats are Zinn, probably made in the 60s as well, low-end stuff. The hi-hat stand is very old as well. It came in a package deal with the trap stool that I guess the story is that somebody had made that was a percussionist, so you can store your traps in there, and it came with some hardware. This hi-hat stand was one of them, so it's really old. And there's an old Slingerland pedal there. So these parts actually predate what a drum set was, I guess, if you think about the drums themselves. It was probably an orchestral snare, and it was a brass band bass drum. But it's all put together in a trap style thing, so there it is. Take a last look at it, and then I will set the camera up and just demonstrate it a bit for you. Thanks for watching. Yeah, the snare drum basically came to me just as a shell and the hoops and one flesh hoop. Had no idea how to string it up or anything. It just had these screw holes. I thought, what do I do with this? So then I saw an ad for the drum in like an 1899 catalog, and I'm like, oh. So I bought some screws and some wing nuts and some steel cable. And I kind of fashioned it in the same way the original parts were, and because there would have actually been hooks that were here that would have had threaded parts into them, and they would have hooked on it. But this seems to work pretty well. The problem is that it's a 15.5-inch drum, so getting skins to fit was very hard. I had to make them. I used the old flesh hoop, and then I looked through a bunch of 16-inch drum heads that I had, and I found one with a very square profile rim, so I cut the plastic out of it and I wrapped the hide around it. But the hide is supposed to be 2 inches bigger than you're using, which means I would have had to have found 18-inch hide, which was really expensive. So I went with sizes that were good enough for a 15-inch drum, and it was just really too small. So you can see it really bent the flesh hoop, and it doesn't fit very well. It's actually that most of the tension is the skin on the flesh hoop itself. It's not even pressing on the bearing edge of the drum all the way around. But it works pretty good. I probably got more money into this drum than it's worth now, but very few people have one of these.